The National Milk Producers Federation is calling for the government to re-examine dairy pricing regulations. It was a big topic at last week's annual meeting, with the CEO highlighting the need for additional federal aid.
Markets have changed in the 2 decades since the last major reform to the Federal Milk Marketing Order Program, and all of our members have interests in examining various provisions to more effectively serve their needs. And these interests will need to be harmonized to make our milk pricing system work better, not just for one region, but for everyone.
Now, Alan Bjerga joins us now to talk more about pricing. Alan, good to have you with us today. What are some of the biggest hurdles facing the industry when it comes to milk pricing? What impact is it having on our producers?
Well, the challenge with milk pricing is that, dairy prices are dealt with component prices. It's a very complex system compared to what you see for a lot of commodities. But you haven't seen a real change to it in the last 2 decades, and we've seen problems come up during the pandemic era as a result of this. There was a change in the Farm Bill to just one part of the marketing order system, which was called the Class 1 mover, that deals largely with the price of fluid milk. Changes in that formula ended up with a revenue loss of $750 million to dairy producers, of which $400 million still has not been compensated from the federal government. And the formula for the compensation of that money that was lost by dairy farmers really was not equitable in terms of size of production and region of the country. So this becomes a spur to a larger conversation about milk pricing. And now you're talking about balancing regional interests, size of farm interest, different cooperatives, when of course milk is very much marketed by cooperatives, have different interests in this. One of the great things about being part of the National Milk Producers Federation is that we actually have a large enough critical mass of farmers from all regions and all sizes that we can have some of these discussions and have some of this dialogue that's necessary to come forward solutions that work for all regions and sizes of the country. We've convened our Economic Policy Committee to start looking at some of the issues around milk pricing. We're hoping to have some really interesting conversations generated during the next year, the next few months. We have a Farm Bill coming up. There's always possibilities for other means in which we can have some federal resolutions to these policies. We're putting things on the table and pursuing solutions.
Good to have everybody part of that conversation. So now, as we mentioned, this was a big focus at last week's dairy industry meeting. Give us a recap of that event and what were some of your main takeaways?
Well, one of the big takeaways simply from that meeting is that, dairy unity continues. We have a real opportunity here to bring a lot of different perspectives and some really smart people to work together for solutions. Look, the COVID pandemic has been a challenge for dairy like it has for everyone else. Good news, consumers support dairy. Per capita U.S. consumption is 3 pounds per person higher than it was the year before. That's the highest level since 1960. Exports are heading to a record this year, despite the snarls that you're seeing with ports. People want dairy products, and we can provide, but you need the best price, the fairest price that's available for farmers of all sizes, all regions, and this is the challenge that we're looking at heading into 2022.
All right, that's Alan Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation. Appreciate your time and update today.